So, brothers and sisters, I've just sent a link in the comment section in my community post. So, Brother Namkizi, if you're around, go and check the link in the community post. You'll find it there. Check the link in the community post, and then we can come here and have a conversation about Black Americans. Or you, Brother Desmond. I invite you, brother. Come and let's have a conversation. Man on man. Africans versus Africans. Let's have a chat about the future of Black Americans in Ghana. I'm waiting. So there's a link in my community post. Get there, tap on the link. You'll come here and we will have a conversation on this live stream. Kindly. I'm waiting. Okay. So guys, as you can judge from the title of the video, we are going to talk about why Black Americans are facing hard times in Ghana. The sad part is that when we talk about this, some Ghanaians are not happy. Some Ghanaians are sad. Some Ghanaians throw insults. They're not happy at all. But the truth always has to be said. The truth always has to be said. And in doing this, we are not committing any YouTube community guideline violations. We are not violating any YouTube community guidelines. So if you want to have a conversation with me one-on-one and we can have a discussion, go to my community post and tap on the link to bring you here. Yes. So in the earlier live stream, I was talking about the situations of Black Americans in Ghana. See, Black Americans are leaving USA and they're coming to Ghana or Africa. And Africans or Ghanaians are leaving Africa and going back to the United States of America. And this I find so intriguing. I don't find any sense in this. Why would you go to somewhere where a fellow man like you is leaving that place, coming to where you are? Because Africans, we believe that in the United States we have a good life. I'm sorry about that, brother. I'm sorry about that. Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? How can I share this? Sorry guys, I'm trying to share the screen with the brother. How do I go about this? So I've just created a post. Brother, I have created another post. Tap on that link. You'll have an access. You'll have an access to the live stream. Kindly. You'll have a live. Tell me what happens. I have sent a link on the community post, another link that is. So tap on the latest link. It will bring you here. Yes. So as the brother is continuing, let's talk about this abnormality. Let's talk about this abnormality. Because we understand one thing. There's this thing called the grass is greener syndrome. the grass is greener syndrome is a situation whereby somebody, you don't appreciate what you have. You always look at your neighbor's house. My neighbor's grass is very green and my grass is yellow. That is the grass is greener syndrome. Africans, we have that grass is greener syndrome. Yeah, the brother is in. Let's welcome him. Hello, brother.
How are you?
I'm fine. I can't see your face, bro.
Yeah, because I was about to go to sleep, so I'm actually trying to turn my camera off.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm a real
So,
person.
mm,
All right, so I guess yeah, that's my floor. All right, so how are you, brother?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Let me just put my headphone in. I tried to connect on my laptop, but because it's a Chromebook, I guess there was some software issues on my end.
Take your time, brother.
All right, good, good.
Mm.
I, can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I've been to Ghana once. I'm from New York
Mm,
City. I live in the
mm,
Netherlands. I'm a Black American. I left a
mm.
couple of comments on your channel about some people
Yeah.
not being Black Americans. They were like Caribbean American, but Black Americans or African Americans are those that, whose ancestors were there since America was built, or actually before it was called America. Everyone else is just like
Mm,
a Black person in America, but not necessarily an African American.
mm.
Yeah. So
Wow, continue, bro. Continue. This is very enlightening. You know, mostly when we are in Africa and we see some a black person who is from the diaspora, we always associate them with the Black American. It's something that we are used to.
yeah, it's a misnomer because there's a distinction, right? The distinction is that you have Black people that were shipped to America as part of the transatlantic slave trade. So those are the
Mm,
Black Americans. Then you have the diaspora from the Caribbean, a diaspora from Brazil. But let's say a Jamaican moves to America, then he's you know a, a Jamaican in America or a Jamaican American. African American and Black American, those terms are for Black people whose lineage goes back to being enslaved in America.
mm,
Some people are duplicitous. Like I have Haitian friends, they
mm,
use African American when it's convenient, but then they use Haitian American as well. Or they'll say they're Haitian 1 minute and then they're Black American the next minute. So just, when you put someone has a Caribbean accent and they're born in the Caribbean, then they're essentially a Jamaican or a Haitian or a Brazilian, not a Black American.
mm. I understand, brother. Thank you for the information.
Yes. I can put it to you
So,
in a Kenyan context. Let's say it's Kenyan
mm,
Somali, right? Who was born in Kenya, he's still
mm,
gonna be Somali. He may have a
mm,
Kenyan you know, what do you call it, identity card or whatever, but you can tell that he's Somali. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that.
mm,
So yeah, back to Ghana,
mm,
brother.
mhm,
Called it a scam because it was actually an initiative from the tourism sector of the government, right?
mm,
So what they were trying to
mm,
do was get Black Americans primarily, and then the rest of the diaspora as an afterthought to come to Ghana to kind of go through this come back home thing, right? So I think, on the surface level, it was a very good gesture, right? But
mm.
In that time, they had people that were there for 20 years that didn't get citizenship, and they were just like giving citizenship out in that year to attract more primarily Black Americans and then diasporans to go there and spend money. Now, there was a couple of things that happened that actually had a negative impact on local Ghanaians, which is that when the diasporans started coming, the prices of everything started going up, you know. And to me, what it was, they were like trying to push slave castle visits and a whole bunch of stuff, and it just felt like it wasn't really about a reconnection. It was more about fleecing the pockets of the wealthiest Blacks in the world, which are Black Americans.
So is it your own experience or other people that you were having a travel with had the same experience? I know you're not traveling alone. You met some people in Ghana, some Black Americans. So were they also complaining that it is a scam? Or
Oh,
is it something
absolutely.
that...
Oh, absolutely. And I went alone. And like I said, I had a great time because I went there. I'm actually a boxing trainer slash kickboxing trainer as well. So I have fighters out there. So that's why I'm insulated, because I have actually a real purpose to go to Ghana. I didn't go to Ghana to try to find myself because I lost my roots and I don't know who I am. And a lot of Black Americans who tend to be Pan-Africans go out there to find themselves. And what I notice is that if you go somewhere as if you are lost, you will not be respected. Regardless to whatever your culture is in the diaspora, I say be proud of that culture and then move from a place of pride and self-respect, and not a place of I'm a lost puppy that was sold off and I don't know my roots, you know? And I think those kind of people, they got a rude awakening when they were going back to Ghana, like, oh, brother, 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 when these people are looking at us like we're not. A lot of them will tell you that you're not even African. They'll say you're Obroni, which means white man. They call Black Americans or diasporans Obroni, which means a white man. And then they'll say, well, it's only because of the way you think. But some others will get into it and say, look, you're a half caste. I've had these conversations with Ghanaians and they don't think anything of it. There was a guy, matter of fact, I have a t-shirt that says, I'm not your Obroni, which means I'm not your white man, because a lot of diasporans were being offended by this because we've been called Black and we're Black in the diaspora. And then when we go back to Africa, then we're being called white. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I wasn't the only one to deal with it. I met a Ghanaian in ShopRite, I think the name of the store is. And he was standing there with a taser in his hand, it's like something that electrocutes someone that's attacking you, right? So I said, brother, I'm like, is it that bad in Ghana? He was like, look, man, he said, I was born in Ghana, but he lived in America for 30 years. He moved back, and he said the locals, wherever he was, essentially would target him because they know he's coming back with, you know, money from the diaspora, so to speak. So it's not as nice as a lot of people are trying to portray it. And a lot of people that were going out there were retirees that were pretty much, they just wanted to go someplace where they can just relax in their last year, so to speak. They've retired and they just want to go somewhere, right? They want to go back home, so to speak. And they even were getting, scammed out of land. There were some people, some sisters that were killed over a land deal that went bad. There's been a lot of scams between Ghanaians and diasporans. Diasporans scamming other diasporans. It's a mess. It's a huge mess, and a lot of people have left and gone back.
Wow. Bro, let me talk to somebody here about in the comment section. So, sister, brother Guyana Brent, yo, bro. Yeah, I see you have commented yo, Evan. Someone's replying yo, bro. How are you doing? So, sister Brenda Biatek. Hello, Evans. Good to see you again. Yeah, good to see you, Brenda. Though I can't see you, I can just hear you. I have no problem with my Black American status. I have no desire to be an African because I'm not born there. Wow. But my heritage is from Benin and Togo. Yes, sister, I understand you love who you are and you appreciate so much who you are, but you still have the African blood in you. You see, in America, there's a word attached to your identity. They say Black American. They don't say white American. They say African American. So I understand the issue of misplaced identity and how the Ghanaians might put it, but you are who you are, Sister Brenda Biatek. You are who, and I love it that you appreciate for who you are and you are not choosing or forcing any identity on yourself. I love this about you. So, brother, are you still on?
Yes, I'm listening to you, brother. I'm trying to read some of the comments as well. And
Mm,
it's Brenda. She says, I have no problem with my Black American status. I have no desire to be an
mm,
African because I'm not born there, but my heritage is from Benin and Togo. And that's exactly how I feel. You see, Black
mm,
Americans a lot of time have been shamed for being Black American. And there's literally nothing that we have to be ashamed of. You know, our people
mm,
went through a horrible experience. And even with that, we still, are where we are, and this we can get better like every other people, but we are of African descent, which is not the same as being African. We have a different cultural experience.
mm,
We have a
mm,
geographical separation. We have
mm,
admixtures that don't exist on the continent. We're a new people essentially. You know what I'm saying? And most of us
mm,
embrace the fact that our ancestors came from Africa and those were still Africans. We are of African
mm,
descent, which is not the same as being an African.
mm. I agree totally. I totally agree with you, brother. And I love that you have expounded this information. You know, I can't fit in your shoes, brother. I can't really fit in your shoes because what I can only listen is to your stories. I can listen to to Sister Brenda's stories. I can listen to your stories. I can listen to Brandon's stories, but I can't really know exactly how you feel. And bro, I'm sorry about all the things that you have experienced in your journey in Ghana. And I'm really sorry, bro. I'm really sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry because, like I said, I enjoyed Ghana. I literally enjoyed Ghana. And I started enjoying it when I accepted it for what it was. And I didn't try to turn it into what I expected it to be. What I mean by that, a lot of Black Americans, we think in a racialized mindset because that's what we grew up in, right? So I'd see
Mm,
white people, you guys call them muzungus, dressing in
mm,
kente cloth, and I'm like, man, these Ghanaians got given their culture away to these white people, blah blah blah. Then I just said, man, look,
mm,
they have a different experience. They dealt with colonialism. We dealt with slavery, and what happened after slavery, Jim Crow, and things of that nature. So that's why I say we're totally different. We're totally different. And
mm,
and honestly, some of us we may share the phenotype, but honestly, when I walked around, they knew me, they knew I was a Black American from a mile away. And there wasn't anything for me to be ashamed of either. And I
mm,
noticed that the conversations were more genuine and meaningful when they saw that I stood proud as being a Black American. They actually wanted to know how it was to be a Black American and what it's like growing up there. I didn't go there trying to be a Ghanaian. I didn't go there trying to
mm,
be from the Ashanti tribe or an Awe or a Ga. Like my crew, the people that I rock with, happen to be the Ga tribe. And
mm,
because most of my fighters are from the Ga tribe, and there's a neighborhood in Accra with about 40 boxing gyms. But the Ga
mm,
people have they have this, I don't want to call it a stigma, but they've got like they're known for being kind of aggressive. That's what they say. But I found they were some of the nicest people. Once you crack that smile, once you say, "Hey, how you doing?" and then boom, they open up and it's nice. But there were some other ethnic groups in Ghana that were, being very disrespectful towards them, calling them dirty natives and things of that nature. So I'm like, wow. So these Ghanaians, they have issues with each other, right? On top of that, the issues are compounded by the government not doing its job, uh, poverty, just infrastructure issues and things like that. And then I think that I'm gonna go there and they're gonna just drop everything and roll the welcome mat out for me because I'm some black guy from America who's coming home. No, that's not realistic.
I get you, bro. I get you, bro. So I want to ask you this question. You see, Africans, we really don't love ourselves. I'm speaking as a representative of Africans. We don't love ourselves. An African might open the door for a white person or an Indian, somebody other than a black person, and they'll do anything. They'll even cook the best food for this person when they come to their house. But when a fellow black person comes, they never do that. It's like there's always some kind of grudge between Africans. There is, bro, trust me when I tell you this. There is. So we really don't love ourselves to the extent which we can say that we will love Black Americans as for who they are. I believe that charity begins at home. Before we love you people for who you are and accept you for who you are, we need to love ourselves and our own differences. I did this story about a sister in Tanzania. She left Tanzania and she moved to Ghana. Tanzanian people could not accept her for who she was. I'm not saying that she was doing bad things which are not allowed in the country of Tanzania, no. But she was just being herself. She was putting on her clothes, which I see many ladies walking like that here in Nairobi. But in Tanzania, nobody was talking, but the eyes of the people, she was not comfortable with that. She left Tanzania and went all the way to Ghana. In Ghana, she's now adjusting. She's saying it's better. Not that it's good, it's better compared to the other side. Yeah,
Right.
bro.
I think I'm not a Pan African. I used to be until I realized
Mm,
that Pan Africanism is actually anti African. And what I mean by that is that the just how Black Africa works, and even Berber Africa, Berber, I'm talking about North Africans and stuff, right? Is that it's based on ethnic groups. On a continent full of Black people, Blackness doesn't mean anything. But if you take a couple, mixed a group of mixed tribes from West and Central Africa, dump them in America as a minority under certain conditions, we are forced to come together under what? Blackness. But that dynamic doesn't or didn't exist on the continent. So even today, if you ask somebody outside of you take two Kenyans outside of Kenya, they're gonna be Kenyan, right? And they'll connect on that. You put those same two Kenyans in Kenya, and one happens to be this tribe and one happens to be the other ethnic group, then they're gonna start seeing differences. I think ideally they'd like to work together, right? But there are
mm,
cultural differences. So when I say it's anti-African, the way that Black Africa works is your ethnic group first, because y'all have, if
mm,
you're a Kikuyu or you're this, you're that, you have certain behavioral norms in your ethnic group. It may be a matriarchal, it may be a patriarchal system. So when people try to say we have to work together and it has to happen because we're Black, Blackness doesn't mean anything on a continent full of Black people. So when people try to say, oh, we
mm,
go back to Ghana and Ghanaians have their own issues. Like you said, they
mm,
gotta love themselves before we expect
true.
them to love us. And I say this: love yourself. My community in America, we have too many issues in amongst my beautiful Black American community that I'm really trying to turn into a community, because right now it ain't really a community, right? That we don't have time, resources, or energy to be trying to build bridges to a people that we don't even know. We don't even really have much in common, because a lot of Black Americans that go there, they go there with this Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, this and that mindset, right? But if you have ECOWAS, you know ECOWAS doesn't even work well together. You have in East Africa, I think you have some East African Federation or something like that. It's so hard to even do inter-country commerce in Africa, and you don't even have to cross the water. You see what I'm saying? It's the way Africa, they have to fix their thing, and the only people that know the answer to that are Africans themselves. I think Africans are smart enough to figure out their own issues, and I think Black
True.
Americans are smart enough to figure out our issues. And since we're not the same people, that we need to keep the lights on in our own house before we start trying to turn on the street lights.
It's very true. So let me reply to some comments here.
Yes, sir.
Creole, okay, this is a hard name. Creole, African American is a misnomer. It's Marcus Garvey 2.0. We are not the same people. I'm glad that our brother has told us that we are all labeled in the container of black, but we have different shades. Shades, not color, but shades in terms of culture, in terms of traditions, in terms of ways of living. We are too much different. There's a lot of dynamics. The variable is very large. So, Brenda, I am hurt when Black Americans change their accents to sound African, if you will. They sometimes become hostile against fellow Black Americans. I don't know why people would turn against themselves and people who they resemble. I just don't understand this, but it's true. I think a Black American should just stick to being him or her. Don't try to be someone else that you are not. Being someone that you are is a good thing, and appreciating another person is also a good thing. That is one thing I know. First, we should learn to appreciate ourselves and our blackness and our culture. Kuya Kudei. Hi, Evans. Hi, Kuya. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. So she's saying, I am late to the live chat. Hi, everyone. I'll reply on behalf of everyone. Hi, and we welcome you to the live stream. You're not late, you're just on time. Sister Brenda is saying, building a community in the Black America starts with the love of family first. Yes, the family is the basic unit of the community. It starts with the family. It's the basic, it's the smallest unit of the community. Yeah.
Brother, can I respond to something that Brenda said?
All right.
She said she's, something about Black Americans speaking with African accents. I'm going to take it a little further. When I was in Ghana, the Black Americans, Black Americans that were out there were trying to be everything but Black American. And it was sad. It was so sad. They would ignore each other. A couple of Black Americans tried to ignore me until I gave them an earful. I was at this place called La Beach. It's called Labadi, right? It's in the Ga community. And I was there sitting with a bunch of artists and Haitian American and a couple of Black Americans. So we were having a very good conversation. So a tour bus pulls up, a tour van, and an older Black American woman from Virginia steps out. She comes up to us and she starts talking, and we're like, "Hey, sis, where you from?" And we had a very good conversation. The Ghanaians they loved the back and forth with us, and just hey, you Black American, I'm Black American, we're in Ghana, how you doing, sis? And next thing you know, I guess it was a Black American chaperone. She jumps out of the van and pulls the sister away from us. This is Like she could have been our grandma. She pulls her away from us, and the Ghanaians checked her and said, "Hey, that's not how we do it here. Why would you take
Mm.
them away from her Black American brothers? They're having a conversation." And that
Mm.
just, yeah, that just really showed me that a lot of times when a lot of these people go there, they try to reinvent themselves. They go there with
Mm.
this anti-Black American sentiment, like Black Americans are so bad they have to escape to go to Africa to really re-engage with their roots, and they fail to realize that on the continent they have their own issues that they're dealing with.
Mm.
If you look at Black people worldwide, we all have issues. That's why we tend to be the face of a lot of negativity, right? But I think
Mm.
the only answer to it is to focus on one's nuclear family. Focus on yourself first, then focus on your
Mm.
nuclear family, and then after that, you go out into community and try to. At this point, we can't do each one teach one. It has to be each capable one has to teach like 10 because we're so far behind. But this whole
Mm.
across the border and we're gonna help them and that, no, it's not gonna work. They're just gonna fleece you for your money.
Mm. So, brother, why do you think there is hate among fellow Black Americans when they come to Africa? And why do you think, maybe for the parts of Africans, I might answer that. So, I want you, if you have any information, you can tell us why Black Americans, when they meet fellow Black Americans, particularly in Africa, they tend to not want to associate together.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it hate, right? But I
Oh,
think a
yeah,
lot
sorry.
of them are trying to, yeah, I think a lot of them are trying to escape, right? So they want to go and mix with the locals, and you should mix with the locals, but it doesn't mean you have to lose who you are. And it seemed like there was an I'm more African than you contest going on amongst diasporans that I saw in West Africa, right? So everyone's trying to out African the other. And the Ghanaians, the dudes told me, it's like they can spot the diasporans, especially the women, in a heartbeat. They say to look for the women with the big Africa earrings, the sandals, and the
Mm.
kente cloth. Those are the ones. And he said those are the ones that they target for selling their art and things of that nature. You'll see like, Africans that are coming from, or Ghanaians, I don't want to just broad stroke Africans. Ghanaians coming from like a business function, dressed in business attire. And then you see the Black American with a dashiki and sandals. I'm like, you're
like
trying
like
too
like this
hard.
one of mine. Like this one.
Right? But you're home. I think the dashiki comes from Kenya, doesn't it?
I think it's something just African, but the Maasai tribe is the one which loves putting on this mostly.
Yeah, I think, from my understanding, it comes from there. But
But
it's a
but
complex issue. Hmm.
I don't think putting on adashiki and sandals is overdoing. I think it's appreciating the African because we ourselves Africans we want to dress like the Americans, like the white people in America, particularly. You see, some of our rappers, for example, we have this musician from Tanzania. He's called Diamond.
Hmm.
The way he dresses like those big Kina nini, Justin Bieber. He dresses like those people. Like you see, there is not that African. It's you see when you come to Africa and you see those brothers and sisters putting on the shiki sandals. I think they're learning to appreciate the Africanism. They're saying this is not something that we get each day back in the states. So they're loving it, and this is where they fall prey to some of the bad things. Like you guys are being charged when you go to Ghana. Something which is sold for $10,
Hmm.
you will be sold for $100, bro, because you are appreciating who you are. You're putting on a dashiki, but a fellow African will wear as a white person, bro.
I think so. When a Black American puts on this African costume, because that's exactly what they're
Mm,
doing. Because they most of the time they don't dress like that in America, and if they do, they're gonna stand out, right? It's almost the same as a Kenyan dressing up as an American rapper. I think the I think in the global economy, we all kind of just wear regular clothes on a regular basis, right? And yeah, white people created these clothes, and it's become the world standard. But you know what? In Kenya, they've accepted the white man's religion, they've accepted his language, they've accepted his traffic rules, they've accepted everything except the way the white man does business. Because if they did, then the economy would be a lot better. I mean, it's better than a lot of countries that are surrounding it. But it seems like, there's always, even with my people too, you know, I can put that right back on us. We get everything, but then there's certain things that we fail at. And what is the answer? Is it to Africanize it? And this is might be a little controversial, but the reason why white people or Western Europeans have taken over the world is because they needed to, right? They needed, not they needed to take over the world, but they needed resources, they needed stuff. So they went out and they got it. And once they got certain things that they couldn't create in their own countries, then they started building with it. And I'm speaking specifically about the Industrial Revolution. There was no Industrial Revolution in Africa. So then Africa has been dependent on the European to refine the natural resources that they have in Africa. Like people will say, "Oh, Africa's the future, and we have the resources and we have this." No, the money isn't in the banana. The money is in the banana milkshake, right? So your raw resources have to be refined. Once you refine it and get it to market, that's when you make the money. So in Ghana, they said they make cocoa, but then they sell it all to Nestle. So Nestle is the one that's really making the money. You have in Nigeria, you have Dangote. He finally is making, not finally, but he just created a refinery, Dangote refinery. Prior to that, the past I would say 7 years, these oil refineries in Nigeria have been running at a loss. So then he's going to turn that around, and I love that. But when you look at the people who are in charge of the project, they're Indians, they're Arabs, they're Americans, they're Dutch. So Africa is so far off from being self-sufficient, even being the first place of humanity. But there's something in the mindset of Africans and Black people in general that there's something in us inherently, I think, that stops us from wanting to create. And when we create, it's superficial BS. If you look at some of these so-called African, what do you call it? African excellence, right? They'll show like, some drone that some 15-year-old kid is trying to make, and he's making it out of junk parts and stuff, right? That's cool. That's a feel-good story. But if you went to Japan and you looked at the stuff that the Japanese kids are making, they're running circles around our kids. So I think we have to stop glorifying Black mediocrity and passing it off as Black excellence. Once we take a real good look and say, yo, we need to do better as Black Americans, as whatever kind of African you are, and we take a long, hard look at that and then start making hard decisions and hard actions accompanied by these decisions to make a real change. When I say that, I'm speaking about leadership. I'm speaking about mindset. I have a couple of answers, but like I said, the African is the one who needs to get their answers out, right? But I'll just say, look, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. What does China do? They look at your products, they copy it, they try to make it better. Sometimes they don't make it better, and then they sell it to the world at a cheaper price. China has spies in every single country, in every school. They've got people learning what people are doing out there, right? And then they come back and remix it. In my opinion, that's what Africa needs to do. They need to start investing in their people so that they don't get the brain drain where everyone's leaving. They need to start developing them in their countries, send them out, and have them come back and then implement whatever they learned in the West on the continent. If they
Okay.
don't start doing that, then it'll never get out of the position that it's in.
Let me ask you this, brother. What do you think would happen if all black best players, like basketball, all black football players, the best, necessarily not all the best, but all black players, all black talents were brought to Africa? Don't you think Africa would colonize the world? Because I see Africa, we have a lot of potential. That when we come to Africa, when we bring all the talents to Africa, including yourself, bro, do you think we can uplift Africa? Do you think Africa is somewhere where the world can look at for solutions, not problems?
El Diablo is in the chat. He's asking if I'm African. No, I'm Black American of African descent. I think your question is part of the problem, respectfully, because you use the example of football players, right? I think Black people have to get out of the mindset of being the world's athletes and entertainers and start focusing on technology, medicine, agricultural, and military advancements before we're being taken seriously. I know that Africans can do it once they get the system in place to or the system to support them. Because what's happening now, look, if I'm faced with not eating and then eating great somewhere else, I'm gonna go somewhere else and eat great. The problem is the full plates are in other countries, and a human is gonna go where he's gonna get fed. So I think the answer is, the governments and the people have to change their mindset and start focusing on developing their homegrown talent.
I agree. I agree in what you have said. Let me go back to the comments. Yeah. Kuya just said, but white people also have issues with each other, so we aren't the worst when it comes to unity. I think this is just a universal human issue. It's not a problem of black or white, it's just a universal human issues. El Diablo, Kenyans seem to be naive based on my observation. I don't know how to answer this, but maybe one or two Kenyans have been naive, but two people don't speak for 50 million. There's a huge difference. Yeah, guys, please like the video. Please like the live stream. It will help you. It will help the YouTube algorithm to push it to more Black Americans so that they can love to get this information. We are getting first-hand information from a brother who has experienced it all. Mr. Carlos Ortiz, thank you, sir, for joining the live stream. I'm happy to see you. So you're asking like what man is saying. What man is saying? Okay, our brother here has issues with his phone, so we just thought it was wise, instead of losing the whole story, if we could just capture the audio and ignore the camera. Bulldog face. I am only 2% African, 1% West African, and 1% North African. Okay, that is 2 plus 1 plus 1. So 96%. Who are you, brother? Are you 96% white or still a mixture? I don't know, bro. I'm just asking.
Oh, he's Mexican?
Perhaps he might be. I just don't know, because we have here, I am only 2% African, I'm 1% West African, and 1% North African. We have a deficit of 96%.
Well,
So
he
the
put the
black
Mexican
people,
flag up there, so he might be actual indigenous, a majority indigenous American with significant European admixture.
I didn't see the flag. Oh, this is a Mexican flag.
Yep. It looks like it from my
Oh,
computer.
you're using a computer. I'm using a phone. So when I put my hand, I can't read some messages until it gets up. Shan Mirha, hi again. Question: have you met any black black mountain climbers that want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or is it not allowed at all? Chan Mirha, it is very much allowed. I have friends. There's this friend of mine who, while I was doing my undergraduate, uh, he was a scout. So he told me that he was going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. At first, he climbed Mount Kenya. Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. So the second one is Mount Kenya. So he wanted to climb Mount Kenya, then Mount Kilimanjaro. But I think he did climb it, and he was black. So if he was black, all blacks are allowed to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. That's true. So Coach Celeste, black people around the world need to love, respect, and understand one another culture without criticizing each other. Understand that the black American culture was stolen. Brother,
Yes.
what do you think Coach Celestine means by black American culture was stolen?
Well, I agree partially.
Mm,
The culture, if you're speaking in an African context, right? There's many
mm,
different cultures, 3,000 language, 3,000 ethnic groups, or maybe languages spoken on the continent. I'm getting my figures mixed up. So the Black
mm.
America, let me explain what Black Americans are.
Okay.
If you don't mind, do you mind? I'm not going to ask you your personal ethnic group, but let's say someone's a
It's
Kikuyu,
okay.
right? And
I'm
what
a
are you?
Luo. I'm a Luo.
Oh,
I'm
you're
a
Luo.
Luo.
Okay, all right. So you're
Yes.
Luo. All right.
Mm,
So let's say someone's a Luo, and let's say we'll compare a Luo to grape juice, right? And then someone's a
mm,
Kikuyu, we'll call them orange juice. And then someone's a Kenyan Somali, and we'll call them uh, pineapple juice, right? Black
yeah.
Americans are fruit punch. We're a mix of
Mm-hmm.
many different flavors from West and Central Africa. And once we got
Mm,
over there, we were separated even on these in the boats and in these dungeons before we got there, so we couldn't communicate with each other, right? So what happens is under the duress of the enslaver, and I'm speaking about the European enslaver after the original African enslaver. No one wants to talk about that, but that's another show for another day. Um,
mm,
so in that we created our own culture, and that
mm,
culture happens to be the most popular black culture in the world. And so when he says people are stealing it, or that the culture was stolen, it's not was, it constantly is being stolen because everyone eats off
mm,
of black American culture nowadays. So that's why I say we are culturally not African anymore, because we created a new culture with still some West African influence in it. So most of us don't forget where we come from because you can't forget, and we don't want to forget it, but we are cool and we embrace who we've become.
mm. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you for the clarification, brother. So we were back at the comments. Mr. Carlos Ortiz, welcome. Evans, welcome, Mr. Carlos. Thank you so much. Where am I? Yeah. With the flags, bulldog face, Mexican laugh out loud, 46%, Native American, and then the majority Spanish, Portuguese, and French DNA. Hey, you are a cocktail, brother. You're such a cocktail. But I love that you really appreciate the small percentage of black. Majority of people they'll be so happy that a small percent of them are black, and they would run away and very far from being African. But you are coming very close, and you're here being proud, saying you're black. I love that, bro. So yeah, God bless you, bro.
Man.
So
There were enslaved Africans in Mexico too. One very
ah,
famous guy named Gaspar Yanga. He's from Veracruz, and they have
mm,
Afro Mexicans. At this point, they're heavily admixed, so they don't look
mm,
as black as the Black Americans because we have like Wesley Snipes. LeBron James, who you could still put in Africa, and they say that's an African. The Afro Mexicans, not so much because they're an extreme minority. But Gaspar Yanga, he fought and I think he defeated the Spanish in like a battle or two or something like that in Mexico. So they do have black people in Mexico. So that's probably where his African admixture comes in from.
Oh, thank you, bro. How I wish this live stream would always go on forever.
Right. I got to get up in the morning. So it was nice
Yeah.
talking to you, brother. I appreciate it.
Wait, bro. It's ending in. Let's end in 10 minutes. Let's make it
Perfect.
1 hour. Yeah.
Perfect.
So Creole Natishosh. Our culture was not stolen. It is active right here, and it's and is emulated the world over. To emulate
Absolutely.
is, I think it's the same thing you said about it is in the process of being conveyed to other people. So it's
Right.
still
They like
there.
to use our stuff, and sometimes people try to erase us out of our own culture. Like there was a
Mm,
debate about hip hop, and people are saying that Puerto Ricans or Hispanics had 50% input into hip hop culture, and that Black Caribbeans had just as much influence. No, it was created by Black Americans from the South, North and South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi. That was the way that we spoke. We used to rap, you know.
mm,
And then when people come into the culture, they gradually try to erase us from the cultures. Like they like the black music without the black man. And that's why I say some people try to steal it, but we have our own beautiful culture. And
mm,
honestly, Black Americans, in my opinion, my not so humble opinion, are the face
mm,
are the global face of Black people. When people think of a
mm,
Black person, you think of a Black American first.
mm, Black person. Oh yeah, I get it, bro. So Kuya Kudei, Black Americans are also mixed with indigenous Black people plus indigenous Black Europeans. This concept of there were Black people all over the world, I've had it such for quite some time now. I believe I believe this comment. So Bulldog Face, regardless, the origin originated from we all originate from who we are. There's this somebody called Charles Darwin. He came to East Africa some times back, where close to where I live. He discovered many fossils. Those are Egyptopithecus, Ramapithecus, Dryopithecus, and he decided to say East Africa is the cradle of mankind. So I agree with this. Bulldog Face is giving Kuya a high five. That's a high five. So let's do a Zoom next time, Evans. Yeah, I will try and find a way we can do a Zoom. I'll try and find a way. My
Ooh.
problem is that I don't have a laptop, so I don't know how I can do a Zoom without a laptop.
Or
Things
you
are
can
really
use
expensive.
StreamYard. You can use StreamYard with your phone. But I want to correct some, or gently correct some misinformation. Um,
Okay.
about there were also Africans in Mexico before Columbus showed up. They were the Olmecs
Mm.
who were ancient Egyptian pyramid builders. All right, listen,
Mm.
Black Americans, okay? The Black and Black Americans comes from Africa. Full stop. Black Americans have nothing to do with the Olmecs, okay? Black Americans
Mm.
or Africans had nothing to do with China. And, because some people want to be everything except what they really are, there's a lot of misinformation out there. People are looking
Mm.
at statues and ignoring the history of the indigenous people of what is now called Mexico. You have to speak to a real Mexican. And when I say real Mexican, I'm talking about the indigenous people from that land who
Mm.
don't even speak Spanish or who speak Spanish and an indigenous language. And when you compare their phenotype to the Olmec statues, you'll see who those Olmecs really are. Black Americans, be proud to be of African descent, born and raised in America. There's no shame in that. But we can't try to say that we're this and with that and with this and with that and with the original Indians and this. No, it's not true. I have, and by the way, I did 2 different DNA tests, right? Because I have a lot of light skinned people in my family. I'm actually brown skinned. Um, so I was trying to, just see where the majority of or how much West African DNA I had. I was surprised that I had 12% Kenyan, which is very, 12% Kenyan for Black American, because we don't come from Kenya, right? And then it was 70% West African, or 70% African. It was 60% West African and 10% Kenyan. And then it was 11% on both tests that went to Native American. Now, when I looked at my family tree on my father's side, he's from Statesville, North Carolina, right? And when I looked at, I traced it all the way down from the census in, what was it, the 1840 census or the 1940 census, which took me all the way back to the 1870 census. And then I went to what they call the slave schedule. And I tracked it down to what plantation and who eventually owned my great 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 grandfather. And that person who owned my great great grandfather was a member of a Native American tribe. So just because we were owned by Native Americans at some point who were part of the 5 civilized tribes, it doesn't make you a Native American. Even though there was some hanky panky going on there, right? It doesn't make us Native American. It would means you have Native American admixture, but people try to get away from the fact that we are majority of African descent. Now, majority of African descent gives us, makes us the beautiful people that we are. It gives us our spice. It gives us our soul. It gives us our strength. Don't run from it, but just be proud to be a Black American.
Wow. I think, brother, people should be listening to you. Black Americans should have this conversation always and be listening. That's why I highly encourage you. If you have not liked the video, please like. This information that we want everyone to get. This is not information that you'll find anywhere. No, you won't find it anywhere. And tomorrow is never guaranteed. So today is today. Listen to this, appreciate us for who we are. We are here to correct each other and we are here to learn. That is why I created this channel. That is why I'm doing all this for us, for Africans. I love me. Brother, somebody just insulted me today. Some people are nasty, bro.
What did they say?
This guy told me that, actually, he was in the other live stream. He told me that I should. He talked really bad. I don't want to pronounce. Okay, he said something around. He was trying to body shame me, making me feel less of myself. And I could feel, okay. So this is how white people might be telling black people in the US, and this is how they might feel. I felt so bad when he was saying, "Go and ask God to give you more flesh in your body." Somebody was telling me that, bro, and I was like,
Where were they from?
"He's from Ghana. He's a Ghanaian, bro," and I'm like, "Hey."
That's a very Ghanaian way to insult someone. Let me tell you this: Ghanaians are some of the nicest people I've met from the continent. They are very very nice. You don't hear anything. They don't have the stigma of being arrogant or scammers or things like that. It just doesn't stick to them. Not saying that they're all nice, but generally Ghanaians tend to be cool people. I'm not going to say who tends to not be cool people, but it's a couple of countries over to the east.
Mm. Yeah, they're nice, and it's not everyone. So he does not speak for Ghana. That one I'm willing to
Right,
let
right.
go. I want to keep that. But I felt really bad, bro. Anyway, let's continue. So I'm
Someone
finishing.
asked what
Hey,
my name was, right? My name is Nakmizi, and I do have a channel. I got like 3,333 subscribers or something like that. And
oh,
I don't upload much anymore. But I did upload, basically the same type of talking points that I have now. I think Pinky recognized me from being on other people's streams, like Search for
mm,
Uhuru, Pan Africanism Strikes Back, O'Shea
mm,
Duke Jackson. I've done videos on that. So if you just search Nakmizi, you'll see videos that I've done with
mm,
collabos. And my thing is this,
mm,
just to be a good representative for Black America. Yes, I've got into troll wars with people because you do run into people who just don't like Black Americans. And if you're disrespectful
mm,
to me, I'm gonna fire back, double barrel. But I prefer to
mm.
have civil conversations like you and I are having so that we can get to the truth, right? And I think somewhere in that truth and honest, organic dialogue without disrespect, we can start making headways. And look, you're from East Africa. I really didn't care about East Africa because I know that we come from Western Central. But a lot of Black Americans go to the East because there's not the stigma of a couple of things. And one of them is involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. We weren't
Mm.
sold off from from East Africa, right? So we go there and it's like, okay, this is Africa without the we sold you type of stigma attached to it. But there's a whole bunch of stuff. I hope one day you and I can collab again. We could get more people
Yeah, bro.
to get in the chat and just have a good conversation. But brother, I appreciate you. You have
Yeah,
I really appreciate you. Hey, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the
yeah,
last
bro.
name Almadi? Almadi?
Almadi.
Can you tell what ethnic group that is in Kenya by the sound of it?
Okay, there is a specific community that takes the letter AL and puts it in front of their names. And this
Mm,
community is mostly found in the coastal areas of Kenya. So
okay.
it might be the Swahili people, or
Mm.
it might be the Giriama or the Mijikenda. Somewhere the Mijikenda, Giriama, or the Swahili people. Yeah.
Okay, Kuya Kudi says you need to do some research on the indigenous Black people of the Americas and everywhere. We Africans discovered every continent and we were there first. Okay, so Kuya is an African. Um, Black people come from Africa. Now, there were
Yeah.
some Africans in America prior to the slave trade. I will give you that, but they're not indigenous to this part of the Americas. They're not indigenous to it. And I can prove it quickly. If you go from not even Alaska, you go to Ukraine or to Siberia and Russia, right?
Mm,
You can go to Kazakhstan, right? You can take a
mm,
Kazakh and compare him to an Alaskan, right? Now follow the
mm,
line to a Native American from Canada, to a Native American from America, all the way down to Brazil and all the way down, and they share a similar phenotype because that's where they come from. These are the
mm,
people that populated America first. They were indigenous. They weren't Black in the sense of being African. And the Africans that traveled there prior to the slave trade were traveling there in the service of European traders. Specifically, there's a tribe from, I think it's not Sierra Leone. It's a West African country. It's around Sierra Leone. They're the Kru
mm,
tribe, KRU.
mm,
They actually were navigators and they were working for
mm,
the English specifically. No, it's Liberia. They're from Liberia, the Kru tribe of Liberia. So they went there. There was some that were translators. You also had the mixed race children of chiefs, or not really of chiefs, but the mixed race children of the product of European traders and Africans who were working for the European fathers, right? Who were also going around to North America. But the indigenous people of North, South, and Central America look like what Bulldog probably looks like, not like what I look like or you.
Mm.
No, indigenous
What
doesn't
what
mean
is
that they
the,
were there first. Indigenous means that that's where those people come from.
yes, yes,
They
where
come
they
from.
hold themselves, yes, where they come from. I understand that. We have migrants and then we have indigenous are like the inhabitants, right?
Right, exactly. So the Somali
Yeah.
Kenyans, or no, what are they? The Somali
No.
Bantus. The
Somalian
Somali
Kenyans.
Bantus aren't
Uh,
indigenous to Somalia. They are now Somali, but they still hold on to Black African traditions that differ from the other looking, the indigenous Somali, because they were enslaved in
actually,
Somalia.
they are not even Bantus. Somalis are a special kind of language group called Kushites.
Right.
They come from the Horn of Africa, and the original inhabitants of Kenya are not even in Kenya right now. They are the Khoisan who migrated to South Africa,
Mm,
according to my history.
right. Man,
Mm.
you're a very smart brother, man. I appreciate you.
I have learned a lot from you, brother. I appreciate also.
Thank you. Maybe you should check out StreamYard, and then you can
Uh,
bring multiple people on so that we can have, spirited debate, respectful debate, and maybe Kuya Kuti can come up and we can have
and
conversations.
I love conversations where it is respectful. I fear some of our brothers, mostly the brothers, they're so insulting. And I fear insults might occur because somebody might disagree with the other.
But don't take it to heart when the guy told you to what they say, to eat more food or something. Oh man, that's funny.
All
That's
right.
actually a funny insult.
It is, bro.
All right, brother.
Okay,
I'm
bro.
gonna
So,
sign off, and it was nice to see you and to actually
nice.
have a conversation. And I hope your channel blows up. There needs to be more people in these chats,
You
man.
too.
All
You
right,
too, also,
peace.
bro. Peace, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Pinky Wells, thank you for subscribing. Kuya, you need to look at the peer-reviewed research of Professors Dr. Ivan van Setema. Wow, this is good information. Let me have a screenshot. No, I ain't weak, bro. You need to look at the peer-reviewed research of Professors Dr. Ivan van Satima, Dr. Imhotep, and Dr. Clyde Winter. So, guys, thank you so much for joining the live stream. I think we are going to end here. It's around 6 p.m. No, 12 a.m. East African time. We are about to sleep, so I have to go and sleep now. See you tomorrow. Good night, and thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Goodbye, guys. Good night. Good day or good night. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. I will arrange for the Zoom and I will give information on my community post. So keep tuned, stay tuned, and keep in touch. Thank you. Goodbye. Kuya, goodbye. Dr. David Imhotep wrote The First Americans Were Africans. You can find him on YouTube. Shalom, D. Raptor. Shalom. Bye. Kuya Kude. Lots of love from my side. Goodbye.